Crows. Why do I like them? A friend of mine had recently asked me, Taylor, why do you like crows so much? I know they're smart and all, but why exactly do you like them? And I figured, instead of just simply answering back to him, I'd go ahead and make a video about it instead, because that's what I wanted to do. And before we get into the specific things that I actually like about crows, I will start out with some simple facts about them. Now, the word crow refers to the genus Corvus, of which pretty much every crow species is included in. And for the sake of this video, I will be referring to the Corvus brachyorhynchos, or commonly known as the American crow, which is common in the Pacific Northwest where I live. Described by Christian Ludwig Brehm in 1822, the scientific name for this bird literally means short-billed crow. And aside from their short-billed crow, they are described as having a large, full body of iridescent black feathers, and its legs and bill are also black as well. And the American crow commonly measures between 16 to 21 inches or 40 to 53 centimeters in length, with the tail being around 40% of that length. So basically, crows are mostly tail. And in the wild, crows have been observed to live between 7 to 14 years, if I remember correctly. But in captivity, have actually been recorded to live up to 30 years. That's a very long time for a bird, I think. Now that we are through these simple facts about the American crow, we will go on to the various reasons that I personally enjoy them. And crows, the American crow specifically, is a highly intelligent animal. The American crow actually has the largest brain volume in comparison to its body volume compared to other crow species. They can learn and remember certain faces of other humans and even animals, and they can remember this information for the rest of their lives. They'll even pass this information on to the next generation of crows as well, so that they can learn what is a threat and what is not a threat. And crows have social orders within their respective groups. They have been observed to chastise other crows that will steal food, and they can even kick other crows out of their groups if they are disorderly. And crows are one of only a few bird species seen to use and modify tools for the express purpose of obtaining food. And they'll even make use of their surroundings to solve problems for obtaining food, such as dropping shelled nuts into traffic and waiting for a car to drive over the nut to crack it, and then they retrieve the nut inside. And like humans, crows can take in information around them, process it, and actually decide what it wants to do with the information that they just received, as opposed to simply reacting to the presented information or stimuli. And aside from being highly intelligent in the real world, crows are just kind of pretty badass in video games, movies, TV shows, and even pretty badass in nature itself. Movies such as Resident Evil 3 featured T-virus-infected crows as a secondary threat before the movie's major climax, and the crows actually really wreak havoc on the group of survivors in this movie before Alice comes in and saves them all. Infected crows are also featured in various Resident Evil games as well, most notably, in my opinion, being Resident Evil 1 with the painting puzzle room, and then Resident Evil 2 on the rooftop of the police station. I also believe there were crows in the Resident Evil Outbreak files, if that's what those games were called. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was essentially, whatever. It was another Resident Evil game that had crows in it, and they, I assume, were infected by the T-virus. And of course, these aren't crows per se. They're infected and not living anymore, or whatever, however you want to put it. But still, they're in there as an enemy, and I find that to be pretty badass. And many video games, movies, and TV shows that involve an apocalypse of some sort almost always display the fact that crows survived at the very least. And even in some cases, crows seem to thrive almost. I mean, given the fact that they're omnivores, they will eat pretty much anything they can get their beaks on. They're gonna do a good job of surviving, I would think, anyway, regardless of whatever the apocalypse was. And even in nature, they're pretty badass little hunters. I mean, they're smart enough to know that certain people are safe to get food from. They're smart enough to know that they can drop nuts into traffic to get food. They're smart enough to use tools to get food. And when all that fails, they could just go and hunt some mice or some frogs. And then they can get their food that way. And they actually enjoy them. They enjoy themselves. They like to have a good time. They like to have fun. Crows have been seen and observed using sleds to slide down rooftops that are covered in snow. They've been seen starting fights between cats and then observing the fights between the cats. And I just find that so amusing. Crows are highly intelligent and they actually like to have fun. And the way we even portray them in video games and movies, we portray them as being evil but powerful creatures sometimes. And that just, I like it. I don't know why exactly I like it, but I like the fact, crows are just really interesting to me. And those facts about them just make them more interesting. I mean, there's not a whole lot of bird species out there that are highly intelligent, can use tools, and are also featured in video games and movies as being enemies or support characters, like in, Dark Souls. You can purchase items from crows that are traders, and they are incredibly important to that game as well. So, and this last example, it's entirely subjective, but I just find crows to be so beautiful in their appearance. That all black, shiny look to their feathers, and then the flat black look on their beaks and their feet, and then the black eyes. Like, it's just really, it's almost mesmerizing to look at them. And when they look at you, I mean, you can tell when they look right at you in the eye, if they're close enough. And it almost sends a shiver down your spine, because you're like, this entirely blacked out creature is staring me in the eye right now while they're eating their peanuts. And again, this is entirely subjective, but I happen to have a couple of crows that live in a tree nearby where I work, and I feed them peanuts every day, and just watching the way they behave with one another, it's just honestly kind of adorable. And the way they hop around with both of their feet is pretty adorable too. Like, I don't exactly know why it is so adorable, it just is. Well, there you have it. You wanted to know why I like crows, and now you do. They are smart, fun-loving, badass, and to top it all off, they get featured in video games and movies and TV shows all the time. I mean, what more could you want? Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, it was a little different than my other ones, of course, but I wanted to do something a little different. If you enjoyed it, please leave a thumbs up and share this video. If you want to see more like this video or any of my other videos, please subscribe to my channel. And if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please leave them down below in the comment section. Hope you have a great day, and peace out.